Welcome to G&T, Sips and Giggles, where every sip is a taste of history and every giggle is a triumph of resilience. Join the fabulous Tina Leggs Tantrum and her charming co-host, Glenn, for a journey through the tumultuous era of the Troubles in Northern Ireland. In this special episode, Tina shares her captivating and often poignant experiences of growing up amidst the political and social unrest that gripped Belfast during the Troubles. From her childhood memories of bomb scares to the resilience of her community in the face of adversity, Tina's stories offer a unique perspective on a defining period of Northern Irish history. With humour and heart, Tina navigates the complexities of daily life against the backdrop of conflict, weaving together tales of laughter, camaraderie, and the indomitable spirit of the human soul. Through her eyes, listeners are transported to a time of uncertainty and upheaval, yet also one of remarkable resilience and unwavering hope. So, pour yourself a drink, settle in, and prepare to sip on some history and giggle through the tears as Tina and Glenn guide you through the highs and the lows of life during the Troubles on this G&T Sips and Giggles.
Hello, Glenn.
Miss Legs, I feel like it's been forever since I seen you. How are you?
I am fantastic, my darling. How are you? You all right?
Yes, I am absolutely swell.
Well, can I just say you look rather dashing tonight?
Thank you very much. I made a special effort, especially for you.
Oh, thank you.
And
Especially for you.
And may I also just add, I love the outfit. Where's it from?
Thank you very much, Primark.
Girl does love a bargain bin.
She does indeed. All you can wear for a tenner from top to toe.
So here, let's get to it, because
Right, okay.
you are a self-proclaimed child of the trouble.
I am.
Troubles.
Triples.
Left the S off. Because it's trouble with an S, not troubles with a Z. Because
Thanks
troubles
for
with
the
a Z
Z.
goes nuts.
Okay, Liza. Calm down, pet.
So you are a self-proclaimed child of the troubles.
That's right.
So, like, what are some of your earliest moments or memories from the troubles? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who want to know.
Before I start to talk about this, I do know, and I'm very aware that the Troubles was a dark time.
Yes.
So this is my journey of the Troubles. These are my stories about the Troubles, and all I had and we had was humor, because it was quite a normality for me growing up. Bombs, bullets, bomb scares, burning lorries, mayhem, pure mayhem. I was born in 1967 and the Troubles broke out in 1969, and we lived in Cavendish Square, which is just off the Falls Road. I lived in number 1 Cavendish Square, and at the very top there was only a row of 13 houses. Right next to number 13 was Springfield Road Police Station and Army Barracks, and that took up quite a lot of the whole of Cavendish Square. So where the heart of the rioting was, where the heart of the Troubles, the missiles, the bombs, that's where they were all aimed at, And one of my earliest memories, we were all out in the yard. We only got to play in the yard, and it was a small yard, and there was 6 kids. And there was a yard wall, and behind us was a full-scale riot.
Wow.
And there was hand grenades going off, and there was bricks being thrown, petrol bombs being thrown. And we were 6 young babies. We were kids. Like, I was only about 3 or 4. And I remember looking up. And here's how it worked. When it got too loud and too vicious, that's when we had to come in. Because it was guaranteed bricks were going to come over the wall, or a petrol bomb, or a bullet. But we weren't allowed out. We couldn't get out. It was so severe back then. I mean, it was really, really intense. But what I do remember was we used to have this dead tree in the back garden. And it was white. That's how we knew it was dead. But it was a climbing frame for us. And my daddy, God rest him, used to go, "Mate, see if you go past that third branch one more time, I swear to God, I go out that yard and I'll take a 2 legs below you, I'm telling you now. There'll be no need for you to get hit with something else morning you." And because that's all we had, that was our exercise, and that was one of my first memories. But growing up, it was always around me. It really was. And going to school, you could expect a detour, bomb scare, or an incident, or even somebody unfortunately losing their life.
Yeah.
So, and you just carried on with your daily life. You know, it just never seemed to stop. Grew up with it, and it was just part of daily living. Really, it really was. Did you never experience any of the troubles? Or you came here in 2000.
I did grow up. So I grew up in Carrickfergus until I was in Carrick until about 1990. I want to say 96. I think it was. I was maybe it was earlier than that. I think it's actually 1992. So I don't really remember the troubles, but I remember Clinton's visit. So
yeah.
I know that I was living through it, but I was so far removed. Technically, I was so far removed from it.
Big Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Dirtbird.
So I don't have any sort of vivid memories of it. I remember checkpoints, but it's kind of hard because I don't know whether I've learnt them from pictures. But my mum we used to go to Northcote. Do you remember?
No.
Northcote was.
I wasn't allowed in that side of town.
Okay.
I had to stay on my own, but it was dodgy.
All right. Okay.
That was the theme. That was the term. If you were going somewhere, watch it down there and that's dodgy, and you knew exactly what that meant. That was the term for right. Okay, well, I'll not bother going.
Yeah.
I remember being really young, and like when we were getting into the back of a black taxi and getting into a town, which didn't happen too often, let me tell you. And it was like a day out, we were all hanging out of windows and everything. Because my daddy worked down the docks, God love him, and there was 6 of us, and mummy had to take every single one of us with her. And we all used to be climbing over her and all. And we hanging out the back taxi when they going, "Yeah, not us working in the town." We used to get practically strip searched.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Swear to God. Walking through the town, there was them big checkpoints. Mummy had to put her bag up on the counter, and then we used to have to stand there, and we used to have to open our coats, and they would have padded round, and it felt your back and all around your hips. I remember that vividly. I was only about 6, 7 at that time, and I think for that reason, Mummy didn't want to take us into town too much because it was such high risk. Yeah. You know, but for us it was a day out. We didn't care. We were like, "Yeah, we're gonna do town."
I think I remember. I mean, obviously, we're renowned for the bomb scare joke in Belfast because it felt like it was every other day. There was a bomb scare of some sort. And I think we really epitomised the keep calm and carry on to the point now where I think people, they hear the term bomb scare, they just roll their eyes and walk on. But like, were you ever sort of caught up in any of that? Because I know that in the town, do you have any sort of stories about where you've been caught up in bomb scares? Or
I'll tell you this story. This is the gospel truth. So as I was about 11 years of age and I was getting ready, I was a first year in secondary school, and Downtown Radio was on, and and I came across £2,000 bomb up in Springfield Avenue. The place has been completely evacuated. Jeez. So my daddy was looking at my mummy and went, "What?" Because my granny lived there. My granny was. So my daddy phoned her and she answered the phone. Her name was Lizzie. "Here, Lizzie." "Yes, Ned." £2,000 bomb in out the front of your house. "No, it's not, don't be daft." She said, "Hold on a minute." So she put the phone down, right? The receiver. I was, the turn dial.
Yeah, old school analog phones.
And she used to wear no one in the old age, the wee coats and all the wee pockets in the side. She had a wee thing of snuff and a wee hanky and all. She went, "How long a minute?" She says, "I'm way out now. It is thing now. Are you on? You're mad." No way. And she opened the door and she looked up and down the street and she couldn't see them. She came back in again. She says, "Way on, Ned. It's as quiet as that." It was about 7:30 in the morning. "Are you sure, Lizzie?" "Swear to God." "Ned, I'm all right. Don't you ringing up here to make us bed?" So she went upstairs to make her bed, and within the next 7 minutes, this most unmerciful explosion ripped right through Springfield Avenue.
My goodness.
Blew it asunder when I seen the crater that was left. And my granny's house was 20 yards away.
Wow.
So we looked at each other. Our house shook. My daddy went, "Oh my God." That's not exactly what he said, but you can imagine. You know what I, God forgive me, you know what I thought to myself? You ain't going to day off school. so, and my mummy put her coat and all on. She grabbed me by the hand, and my dad running up Cavendish Street. It was all cordoned off, and there was slates everywhere. It was bricks. You can imagine.
Yeah.
£2,000 bomb going off in a built-up area, and the police are trying to stop my daddy from going up. You want to hurt him? Them. My mother's in that house. Get you out of my road. I'll throw you over my shoulder. So there was nobody in them houses, and it was my granny's house was here, and then there was a house and a house and a house and a house and a house, and then there was a street. My granny's house was there, and the bomb was just there, and her house bore the brunt of that £2,000 bomb, and my mummy was screaming at him, "Are you deaf? His mother was in the house. She was on the phone." So everybody started to scramble over. My granny's house was obliterated.
Oh, goodness.
And God love her. She was in her early 70s at the time. Pulling doors, and I just stood there shaking. Oh my God, my granny's head's going to be down the avenue and everything, and her leg's going to be over in the spar. And the next thing all you hear is, "Get that fucking door off me." Fucking who back? Name it, you. What had happened was she went upstairs to make her bed, and as she leant over the bed, to put the bedspread on, the bomb went off.
Oh,
and the ceiling came down on top of her, and the bedroom door blew in on top of her as well.
Flip.
So that kind of protected her, and she went from the bedroom down into her wee living room.
Oh my goodness.
So
right.
everything came in on top of her.
At least she was on the bed.
She was on the bed, so it was a soft landing, right?
Yeah, goodness.
And
still, I would imagine that had been a shock for her. Like.
yeah. So get the ambulance. Of course, my daddy turns to the police. Oh my God, you should have heard him. And that was bedlam. And my mummy and all were said, "Don't lift her, don't touch her, don't lift her. We'll get her lifted." And my daddy says, "Did you not hear them was knocking at the door?" He said, "Not at all. I took 2 sleeping tablets out of the couch." They assumed there was nobody in the house.
Of course, because nobody answered. Yeah,
but she survived. But I'll tell you something, she wasn't really the same after that.
I'd imagine that been quite traumatic for her.
Really,
as it's been
that
for a lot
whole
of
area
people.
was destroyed. It became unlivable. Became completely unlivable, and that was one of the closest that it was someone who was close to me was involved, and even though we are laughing and giggling a wee bit, but those that's the way that I remembered it as an 11-year-old kid, who was supposed to be going to school that day, and I felt that fear.
Yeah.
Because I thought, oh my God, I think my granny's dead.
It's madness.
Isn't it?
It is. It's madness.
Absolutely. There's some other cracking story.
But like growing up, I mean, I know that you've told over the years countless stories.
Yeah.
So how would you say growing up in the Troubles has shaped you as a person?
It shaped me because it gave me very thick skin.
Okay.
And it really made me feel that when I started to realize that everything about my life was so basic, my education was basic, my opportunities were basic, I really didn't feel any. I really felt like I was being cheated. I really felt, it was like I was looking at TV and I was watching Fame and I was like, they have dance schools. Why do we not have a dance school? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just felt, why is everything so basic? And it was simply and purely because we were way behind, lagging behind everybody else because of what was going on.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what being gay was. I just knew that I was a little bit different, I actually felt really good about it because I just had this secret and I wanted to keep it for now. But it was good for me in a way. It made me as tough as old boots.
But do you see even the fact that you were saying there just a few moments ago that, you were telling the story about your gran?
Yeah.
But do you think that but growing up in the Troubles has taught us the art? I say us, I just mean like Northern Irish people. It goes back to that. Do you think it's taught us the art of just having the crack, as the saying is? Like, it's that old expression, if you're not laughing, you're crying.
Yeah.
Like, So
You
when you
just
do
have
look
to-
back on those
yeah.
stories, you have to look back on them and laugh.
Well, when you look, when I think back of some of the stuff that we went without and our lives were so basic, you just get on with it. And sometimes all you had was your humour. That was all you had left. You know, your crack, your slag, and your banter. Did you never, have you ever had experience with a bomb scare or any kind of sort of.
I don't think so. And again, I think unfortunately just my poor memory because I was so young. And we were sort of coming out at the end of the Troubles around that time
Yeah.
as well. So I don't think I was. I think I was fortunate enough to not be involved in a bomb scare. I don't know how I would react. So, you know.
Oh, don't worry, I'll teach you. It's fine.
But interesting. I find it fascinating. Thank you for sharing. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and Tina's going to tell us about how she flirts with the soldiers. and I cannot wait to hear the story about the hijacking of the bread lorries.
Oh my God.
We'll be right back.
See you soon.
So, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Tina has been regaling us with her stories of growing up in the Troubles.
Yes.
But the one thing that when we were doing research for this episode, you told me about, there was 2 bullet points that we wanted to cover. And you mentioned, the first one was about flirting with the soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
But for those people that maybe don't understand why there was foot soldiers, can you maybe shed a bit of light on that?
Well, yeah, because they used to have these, they used to have foot patrols, and there was either 4 or 6 or 8 of them, and they used to carry the big heavy duty guns and the rifles and all this kind of stuff. But as I was growing up and getting older, I was like, oh my God, they're gorgeous. You know, the G.I. Joe kind of sort of structured, kind of chiseled face and tall
A man in uniform.
And you know, the wee beret, and you know, I kind of would have maybe whistled on past them and kind of sort of winked, being cheeky, and then flew into the shop so I wouldn't get shot.
And how old were you at this point?
4.
Bet that was uncomfortable for them.
Absolutely. No, I think I was pretty young. I was only maybe 12, 13, and you've all sorts of stuff going through your head and hormones flying all around the place. And
Oh, I get it.
yeah,
I get it.
oh, of course. But and some of them were they were stunning. Like, they were just gorgeous looking men. But you know, the one thing that always surprised me as well, they were frightened.
Wow.
Because they were out and they were vulnerable, and you know, they were sitting ducks, basically, you know. And because there was that big army barracks at the top of our street, and next to number 13's garden, there was a post.
Like a lamppost sort of idea? Or like
like a lookout post.
Oh, okay.
Where they used to come in and they used to have to watch people walking up and down the street. Would have been one of the most awful jobs ever. And they used to talk to us through the little hatch, you know, and they weren't supposed to. And we used to get into conversations, and there used to be about 5 or 6 of us, and we all used to sit on the wee wall chatting to them, and do you know what I mean? And the sound of their voices, I used to have to cross my legs. I did. I said, oh my, I can't wait to say I'm a big girl. I'm going to go to London and all. Me and him's going to get married and everything. So yeah, and we're going to have a big squad of kids. Going to live happily ever after. Honestly, but like Little House on the Ferry.
Oh, gag. Absolute gag. Like, and like from your point of view, then obviously we're way out the other side of that. You know, the peace process has been in for quite a while now, close to 30 years. How do you feel about the current situation of the peace process in Northern Ireland? Like, I know that's quite political, but you know, what's your view on it? I mean,
but I'm let me tell you. So I am 56 years young, right? And I remember being in my mid-20s. I was about 25, 26 maybe, when this whole thing started, and I didn't believe it was going to work. I was like, you must be joking. I was in my early 20s, day and daily, there was something. It was. But when the opportunity came around, and I wasn't interested in politics. I'm not interested in religion, and all of those things. But I wanted it to work. And I remember going to vote for it because I remembered, you know who I loved? And this is what drew me to politics. You remember Mo Mullen?
I do, yeah, yeah.
And that lady had an incurable brain tumour.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fascinated. And it was that lady who brought them all around the table, got them all talking, made them negotiate. And Northern Ireland now has become a beacon of hope. We really have. And I am so glad that I voted yes for the peace process. Because when I think of the generations that are going to come behind me and who have come behind me and the younger generations now, the opportunities that are there, I missed out on all of that. I didn't get that. I don't mind. Because where we are today, I think we're going somewhere really special, are we, country? So one of the funniest things, right? And every time there was like a big bad rat and all in the middle of the road, middle of Falls Road or on the Sprinky, that's the Springfield Road. And everybody used to be standing on the corners, right? And then the police jeeps or the peelers, everybody used to go, peelers! And they were on their way up. And they used to fly up and down because they had nothing better to do. And everybody was over in Dunville Park. Everybody was on the Falls Road. Everybody was on the Springfield. Because you had the Falls Road going that way. You had the Grosvenor Road coming up this way. And then you had the Springfield Road. So there was that cross.
Interface.
Big
That's what they
thing.
call it.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Or a
like a big
flashpoint,
crossroads, like
Ireland.
almost.
Yeah.
So, and then Dunville Park has these massive, massive, big, mature trees. So the ratters had something to hide behind. And they didn't always hit the intended target when they were throwing bricks and bottles and petrol bombs. But when there was like a 40-foot truck coming along that carried loads of milk or loads of bread or both, and you used to run out and hijack it, and everybody used to run, and they used to pull the doors and all open, and everybody got free milk and bread and all for about a month. There's like feed to 5,000. Everybody's running about. We're like, and back then they weren't. They were in bottles. They weren't in plastic containers.
Yeah.
They was running out with trays of milk, big trays of bread, and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? And there was loads of that. Like that was way back in the 70s when there was a rat every day. Every time a school got out at 3:00, there was a rat in every corner.
And I'm guessing that everybody had a lifetime supply of pencil erasers with the bread.
Oh, completely. Completely.
Did you ever do that in
Yeah.
your house? It's like, didn't have a rubber, get some
Get some
bread.
Yeah, and just use the bread.
Use the bread.
Absolutely.
I used to find that fascinating, but that was...
And it worked.
Yeah, mental.
It worked. But those are some of the memories that I remember from being... But then I remember as I got older and I was getting into my late teens and then I was starting to develop and, you know, I was thinking... Well, what can I do about the Troubles? How can I make it stop? So when the talk of the peace process came along and we missed Mo Mullen, God rest her, and then I was in Scotland. I was at a dance competition and they came through that it had passed. And I thought, wow. But I still didn't believe it would work.
I get that.
I had spent the first part of my younger life in a place where I was thinking to myself, it's not going to work. It'll only work for a wee while. I'd look at us now.
Well, and here we are.
Just over 30 years.
Nearly 30 years later, and
yes.
we're tip top.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That was very insightful. I really appreciate you taking me through the Troubles.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be right back after this.
Thank you.
Tina's tips.
Focus on what you can control, your actions, your beliefs, and your determination.
Tina's tips.
My iconic tonic.
So this is the part of the show which is our iconic tonic. Yes, every episode we will be talking about our icons, the things that we aspire to, we enjoy watching, and so on, off the week, and we want to share them with you. So, Miss Leggs.
Oh, Glenn, I'm so glad you asked me. And see, do you know, I am drawn to, like, I love strong women, and this iconic tonic is probably one that is overlooked, and a lot of the older gays will remember this one, and Generation X especially if you were a disco dancer back in the day, in the 80s and the early 90s. And the person I'm talking about is Miss Donna Summer. That lady was and will always be to me the disco dancing classic queen. Some of her songs, still to this day, I listen to them. They are MacArthur's Park, Enough is Enough with Barbara Streisand, Last Dance. Music has always been very good for me. My tonic. I don't know about you.
I live for music.
Yeah.
Music. If I to the point where I'm so angry that I don't play an instrument. Because you said I'll be fecked if I did.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I'd be a singer-songwriter. I'd be writing the biggest pile of crap, probably.
Yeah. But I just found her music was so unique. Her voice was untouchable, and she just came at the right time of that whole era of disco. And all her songs were the classic disco classics. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And and she was in Studio 54, and her voice was just impeccable. And do you know, this is I woke up one day and I so sad to learn that she'd passed away, because she passed away from cancer.
Wow.
She never told anybody.
Wow.
I think she'd been diagnosed the year before, and she didn't want to be remembered for having that.
Yeah.
And it was just, like,
Well, she's left a massive legacy.
oh
Like,
my God.
she is, as I know her, she is the queen of disco.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, and when you think back to the underground bars and clubs and
Yeah.
all the gays, like when
It's
it was,
interesting that because she is synonymous with gay men,
Yeah.
right? It's like it was the underground disco scene, particularly in New York,
Yeah.
where people were listening to her music, and it goes without saying she was an ally as well.
oh, of course she was.
She was a big
From
ally.
day dot. You know what I mean? I think, when you look at the likes of Miss Donna Summer and all her music was, it came from, she understood that who her audience were.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And she knew, and she wanted to embrace the gay community back then, because these people showed how happy they were to dance to her music. And when you look at the old videos and these underground clubs and these backstreet kind of sort of bars and stuff, and handbags are going a mile a minute in the air, men in high heels and leather gear.
And that's just on a Saturday down the town.
That's it. A last dance for love. And I love her. And when I hear her voice, when I'm a wee bit wobbly, when I have a bit of a, be a bit of Donna Summer there, please. Don't just scream out Alexa.
Donna Summer picked me up.
Donna Summer booster. Glenn, so who's your iconic tonic?
Well, this one's an interesting one.
Okay.
So I have discovered on Netflix.
You're gay?
Yeah, well, I discovered that a very long time ago. But maybe Netflix has just discovered that I'm gay, because if I look at my recommendations on Netflix, it's nothing but like the finest LGBTQIA movies known to man. But I've only just discovered Schitt's Creek. I don't know if you've watched this at all. It's on Netflix. But it's actually the character on there who is one of the series producers, executive producers. It's a gentleman that goes by the name of Eugene Levy. He's probably most known for his role as Jim's dad from American Pie. So this is the guy that walked in on Jim while he was streaming online, and there was that iconic scene of he walked in on Jim assaulting an apple pie.
Yeah.
And obviously the scene cut, and it was like, we'll just tell your mother that we ate it. So anyway, so he's that actor. But I'm got a bit of a theme going here. I'm trying to source straight allies to the LGBTQIA community, and Eugene, in fact, is an LGBTQIA ally. First of all, as I mentioned, he is one of the co-creators of Schitt's Creek, which has been acclaimed for its fair representation of gay queer issues. But actually, his real life son is one of also the executive producers who happens to play Eugene Levy's character's son in Schitt's Creek. So, it's kind of nice. It's been, as I've mentioned already, it's been critically acclaimed for the representation and storytelling for LGBTQIA issues. But he's given many versatile performances over the years, including flamboyant and witty personalities, which has resonated with me over the years. Some of his performances have just left me in a wrinkle, to be honest.
Right.
But I think it's positive representation on his behalf as well. And just his comedic genius, like the way that he delivers some of the scenes and so on. I don't know. I'm sort of gushing. I'm sounding a bit like a fanboy, but I think that like actors like him who do a lot behind the scenes and try to weave that into the sort of the fabric of modern day media, that sort of resonates with me. Through some of his roles, he challenges stereotypes about masculinity and sexuality, but it just makes me laugh. Like it's just really funny. He's just a funny character.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think this week Eugene Levy is my iconic tonic. I had to tell you it was a bit of a random one, to be fair.
You did.
But,
You did. And it is quite random. But then, see, to me, us two, I'm chalk, you're cheese. You're salt, I'm vinegar. You're silk, and I'm steel. Do you know what I mean?
I get it.
I quite like I like this. What fascinates me about you and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? When you said Eugene Levy, I was thinking to myself, who in the name of is it Eugene? But when you explain it, I'm like, oh yeah, right, okay.
But he's probably the most well-known, least known actor, if you know what I mean. Like everybody that's anybody at the end of the end of the thousands, just at the end of the 90s, early noughties, like that, he was like one of the biggest actors because of his appearance in American Pie, and it was such a simple role, But anyway, and I'm only bringing him up because it's relevant to something I'm watching at the moment on Netflix, and I thought that might be kind of interesting.
It is. It most definitely is, darling.
Sip and share.
Hello everybody, Miss Tina Leggs coming to you with all our questions that have been fired in by WhatsApp, Instagram, emails, and you want to hear all the answers. I'm going to call these from our sippers and our gigglers. Thank you so much. So, DJ Glenn, can you give us, have we got a question or two for us?
We actually have, and this one is a voice note. And this one has came through on WhatsApp from Gillian.
Hi, I'm Gillian from Belfast. I know that Tina and I are roughly the same age, and so I'm wondering, Tina, as you've got older as a queen, what is it you have had to adapt in terms of maybe your clothes, your makeup, your dance routines? I know that I can't do the same things as I could do when I was in my 20s, and I need reading glasses for everything. So I'm wondering how it affects you and your performance.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Gillian, for your question.
Yes, Gillian, thank you very much. That's a belter. It's like a question with like 6 different kind of
facets
in it, isn't it? Yeah. Here's a level, here's a level, here's a level.
So, I mean, let's break that question down piece by piece. So, first of all, she's not too dissimilar in age to yourself. So she's really asking about, how have you adapted over the years as Tina's sort of got older? Are there things that you couldn't do today that you maybe could have done when you were a bit younger?
To be honest with you, there was a lot of things I couldn't do when I was younger because I was so heavy. So I'm taking full advantage of where I am right now. I'm not as flexible, I would say, but I would say I'm about 90% as flexible. I'm as stubborn as a mule. I am as stubborn as a mule. And I will push myself. I think that's what it's all about. And I certainly will not succumb to age. I am aging as gracefully as I possibly can. I try to keep my finger, Gillian, on the pulse of everything that's going on, i.e. fashion, makeup, wigs, shoes, music, choreography, audience participation. And I think because Gillian, I keep a real eye on that, in my mind, that keeps my head ticking over, my brain, the part of my where I need to function, I need to stay in focus, not to become stale, not to be left behind, is a small secret fear I have. So yeah, I mean, age is just a number, Gillian. Let's put it that way. Age is just a number. And if you feel you want to get up and run a marathon, run it. If you feel you want to get up and walk to the front door, walk. I just think if you're happy in your nappy and your feet are happy toe clappy, just carry on being fabulous, darling.
Well, thank you so much for that, Tina.
Oh, you're welcome, honey, you're welcome. Okay, Sips and Gigglers, we have another question. Okay, here we go. And this is from Chris. And it reads, Dearest Tina and Glenn, have to say, I am really loving the podcast. Thank you for the giggles. So anyways, I've recently found myself in an awkward situation where a few months ago, I have had sex with my best friend. Since then, we have been flirting with each other, but it hasn't really gone anywhere else since. Now it's just getting weird between us. I don't suppose you've any advice?
So I'm going to pass this one over to Tina.
But let me double back. Have you ever been in a similar situation like years ago? Have you ever
Oh, yeah.
slept with a friend?
Oh, God, yeah.
Have you?
Super awkward. Yeah.
You haven't slept with me. Just putting that out there, folks.
Well, like you said in the last podcast, there's a 15-year age difference between us.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so no, I have, and it was really awkward, and as you would imagine, it was drunk, like it was a night out thing. We got really drunk, and the next day it was super awkward. The only advice that I could give is rip the Band-Aid off and talk about it, establish exactly where you're at, because if you're going to sort of make assumptions about how maybe the other person is feeling, you're not actually getting to the crux of the problem. And the only thing that'll happen there is that you'll end up just growing further apart. And if you really treasure your friendship, then you should be able just to talk about it and move past it. That's worked for me. I don't know. What about you, Tina?
Say, I totally disagree with you there. I actually don't. I think their friendship is done because you don't jump into baby or mates. It's as simple as straight as forward as that. And Chris, I would love to hear from you again because there's quite a few questions I want to ask you about this, to be honest with you. I promise I won't expose who you are, but I want to know like the details, you know what I mean? Where were you? How did it happen? How long have you been friends? What exactly did happen? You know what I mean? I want to know the juicy bits. It's just say, I'm telling babe I'm my best friend and it's all really awkward now. I don't care about the awkwardness. You can pick new friends. Just walk in any gay bar. Will you be my friend? Yeah, do you want a drink? Aye, come on. Let's be sisters. I think that, if you feel it's getting weird, here's two things. You can let it continue being weird without having the ghoulies to walk up and say, listen, let's have a wee chat. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to be putting it back and saying, is this going to happen again? You just walk up to the person and say, here, listen, give us 2 minutes of your time. Are we all right? What's happened has happened. It's over. But then again, you see, but here's what I want to know, Chris, was it good? And do you want it again?
I suppose there's a lot of the story there we don't really know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chris could be sitting here waiting the answer for this, and what I'm actually encouraging Chris is to say, to go up and find out if it's going to happen again. Will it happen again and again? Could there be a possible romance blooming? Because you know the way sometimes you see people on TV, we started off as friends and we've been together for 10 years and they look bored silly and they were sorry they were even started it anyway. But I'm only joking, I'm being sarcastic. But anyway, pursue it. If you really like him and it was good, go for it. You've nothing to lose. Well, probably just a good friend, but you can buy another one.
Anyway, Chris, thank you so much for sending that message in.
Yes, darling, thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, I hope it all works out.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at GNTpod. Also, thank you to those people that took the time to write in a question. If you would like to write in a question or send us a voice note, you'll find the details in the description of this episode. And of course, if we haven't already asked enough of you, please subscribe and leave a review, but be kind. Much love, G&T.